Goggles Vincible. Goggles Vincible dies during the Invincible War after attacking Teen Team HQ. By this point, Angstrom Levy has already released alternate marks across the planet, and this version goes after some of the easiest emotional targets: Robot, Monster Girl, Rexplode, and the Guardians around them. He badly injures Monster Girl, tears through Robot's drones, and nearly reaches Rudy's real body before Bulletproof interrupts. Rex realizes someone has to stay behind, knowing Bulletproof can fly Robot and Amanda out while he has no real way to win a normal fight. Goggles Vincible knows this too, and he mocks Rex while holding him by the neck. Rex then uses the only move the variant doesn't expect. He charges his own skeleton like a bomb, turns his entire body into the explosive, and kills them both in one of the war's nastiest suicide attacks. Cap Vincible. Cap Vincible dies during the wider Image Comics chaos of the Invincible War. This version is involved in the second day fighting, when heroes from across the Image universe are being called in because the regular Earth heroes are getting overwhelmed. The comic doesn't slow down to show every punch in that fight, because Invincible number 60 is moving through global destruction at insane speed. What we do know is that this variant goes down in that battlefield, with Savage Dragon and Battle Girl tied to the kill. His body later gets recovered by the GDA and turned into a Reaniman, which is the final ugly insult. Even dead, Cecil tries to use these marks as weapons. Mustacheable. Mustacheable is one of the variants who dies during the war, rather than surviving into the Wasteland arc. Visually, he stands out because of the mustache, which makes him look closer to Viltramite culture than main Mark ever wanted to be. During the Invincible War, he is one of the marks tearing through cities, while Angstrom's plan spirals far past revenge and turns into a worldwide disaster. His death happens off to the side of the main Mark story, which fits the pacing of issue 60. The heroine Ultra is credited with killing him during the crossover fight. Like several other dead variants, his corpse later becomes useful to Cecil and D.A. Sinclair, because the GDA starts converting dead alternate marks into Reanimen. Mustachable's body gets recycled into another weapon. Hood Vincible. Hood Vincible dies because he makes the mistake of dragging Adam Eve too deep into the fight. During the war, main Mark and Eve fly through ruined streets trying to help wherever they can, and they run into this variant while he is fighting other heroes. Hood Vincible is strong enough to overwhelm them, but once main Mark and Eve arrive, the fight becomes more personal. The situation gets worse when Eve is injured. Mark is already watching versions of himself slaughter people around the world, and seeing Eve hurt by one pushes him into a much more violent state. Hood Vincible is eventually killed by Prime Invincible during that battle. Omni Invincible. Omni Invincible's death comes during one of the stranger crossover fights in the comic version. This variant wears a suit that resembles Omni-Man's look, and he even claims he killed his own father in his universe. That detail explains his arrogance. In his mind, killing Nolan means the heroes of the main universe should be beneath him. Then he runs into Shadowhawk and Madman. Madman's weapon of choice is a yo-yo, and during the fight, Madman wraps the weapon around Omni Invincible's neck and strangles him to death. Afterward, his corpse is recovered and converted into a Reaniman, turning him from Conqueror into GDA property. Sport Vincible and Hair Vincible. Sport Vincible and Hair Vincible share their deaths in one of the biggest Tech Jacket moments from the Invincible War. In the comics, Tech Jacket gets attacked by two evil marks, which is brutal because even one mark is already a nightmare. Sport Vincible and Hair Vincible push Zach Thompson hard enough that he has to go nuclear with his own suit. He overloads his Geldarian suit, causing a violent explosion that kills both variants at once. These marks seem to underestimate Tech Jacket because their own realities may not have had a version of him, and that ignorance gets them killed. Flaxansible. Flaxansible dies at the Pentagon on the first day of the war. He is easy to recognize because of the Flaxan-style suit, which suggests his universe may have gone very differently during the Flaxan conflicts. His actual death comes from Britt and Donald Ferguson. The fight leaves Donald badly damaged, with much of his synthetic skin torn away, and Cecil injured in the aftermath. Flaxansible's body is beaten so badly that it is too mutilated to become a Reaniman later. Light Blue Invincible. Light Blue Invincible dies on the second day of the Invincible War, and his killer is Pitt. This is one of the more brutal quick deaths in the comic. Pitt manages to grab him him in midair and jam both thumbs into his eyes, killing him while also taking damage in the fight. Light Blue Vincible is a Viltramite-level fighter, and Pitt still drags him into a direct physical struggle and wins.
No Goggleseable. No Goggleseable is one of the most terrifying variants during the war.
He tears through the Guardians of the Globe, shrugs off Immortal's attacks, kills several duplicates, and decapitates Immortal by using his foot. Darkwing realizes the team has no clean way to beat him. He sacrifices himself by pulling No Goggleseable into the Shadowverse. Since No Goggleseable trapped in that same dimension with him, his fate is treated as death or permanent removal. Bulletproofable. Bulletproofable dies at the Pentagon after making the worst possible tactical choice. He pushes into the GDA's most fortified area, where Cecil has access to Reanimen. The comic shows him being killed by a group of Reanimen, with one snapping his neck. Bulletproofable gets taken out by the same kind of weapon his own corpse might have become. Muinsahhawk. Muinsahhawk survives the Invincible War and the Wasteland, which already makes him one of the most dangerous variants. In his universe, he becomes ruler of the Viltramite Empire after joining his father's path. His death comes later, when Prime Mark and Robot travel to his universe to recover Angstrom. Robot uses a sonic attack to weaken both Marks, then fires a bomb into Muinsahhawk's mouth. The device burrows down his throat and detonates from the inside, blasting his organs apart and killing him instantly. Sinister Mark. Sinister Mark survives the war, then becomes the monster of the Wasteland universe. After Angstrom strands the 8 remaining variants in a dead world with no food or water, hunger takes over, and the Marks begin eating each other. By the time Prime Mark gets sent there in issue 103, Sinister has gone completely insane. Mark finds him eating Viltramincible's remains. Muinsahhawk saves Prime Mark, and the two fight Sinister together. In the end, Muinsahhawk beats him to death while screaming about what Sinister made them do.
Viltramincibble. Viltramincibble survives the Invincible War and reaches the Wasteland with the other remaining Marks. His white and gray Viltramite-style outfit makes him one of the clearest symbols of a Mark who embraced the Empire fully. By issue 103, he is the body Sinister Mark is actively eating when Prime Mark arrives. Sinister kills him, then starts feeding on him, which is the comic's most direct confirmation of how far the stranded variants fell. Stripe Vincible. Stripe Vincible is one of the Marks stranded by Angstrom after the war. During the initial attack, he is connected to the destruction in major cities and the wider Third Day devastation. Once Angstrom gathers the survivors, they refuse to keep following his plan, and he throws them into the dead Wasteland universe. Stripe Vincible is eventually killed and eaten by Sinister Mark, with Viltramincibble also involved before Sinister turns on him later. His remains become part of the pile that shows Prime Mark what happened there. Prisnincible. Prisnincible is the bald, scarred version whose look suggests a much harsher background, possibly involving Viltramite imprisonment or long-term torture. During the war, he is tied to the destruction of Moscow and the larger global assault. Once the 8 surviving variants are stranded, Prisnincible becomes one of the early victims of the cannibalism. Muinsahhawk later talks about the first one they ate, saying they all helped because they were starving, and he hated that guy so much he almost didn't want to eat him. Prisnincible is commonly treated as the likely first victim. No Maskable. No Maskable survives the Invincible War long enough to be trapped in the Wasteland universe. During the war, he devastates Paris and shows the same casual cruelty as the other variants. In the comics, he also has that disturbing line toward Eve, saying he'll kill her slowly this time, which implies he already murdered his own Eve back home. After Angstrom strands the survivors, No Maskable disappears into the same cannibalism cycle as the others. No Maskable becomes one more alternate Mark eaten in the dead world Angstrom created. Vincible. Vincible is one of the more emotionally strange variants. During the war, his deal with Angstrom seems connected to Debbie rather than simple conquest. He wanted to find a version of his mother and bring her back with him. After the surviving variants turn on Angstrom, Vincible gets thrown into the wasteland with the rest. The food runs out. Then the Marks begin killing and eating each other. Vincible is among the ones devoured before Prime Mark arrives. Whatever attachment he had to his mother dies in a dead universe full of starving versions of himself. Vincible. Vincible is one of the least explored variants, but his fate lines up with the rest of the Wasteland victims. He survives the main 3-day Invincible War, which already means he lasts longer than most of Angstrom's army. 12 of the alternate Marks are dead by the end of the war, while the rest remain. insane. Pads Vincible is part of that stranded group. Angstrom opens portals, dumps the survivors into the dead wasteland universe, and leaves them with no supplies, no civilization, and no way home. After weeks of hunger, the variants turn on each other. Pads Vincible is eaten by Sinister Mark during that collapse. His skeleton and absence tell the story by issue 103.